Well, hey folks, Real Honesty with John Ritlin. I'm John Ritlin. It's a 30-year reflection on Randy Savage's WWF title win at Mania 4. Ooh, WWF. Scandalous. Actually, WWE now, but it was WWF back then, so I'm going to call it that. This was, of course, it was the final result of a big tournament that took place in one night, and I admit, even taking my nostalgia glasses off, that Mania 4 wasn't that good. It was a bit of a clusterfuck. It was a bit long. In fact, it was a bit too long. Only 4 matches were non-tournament matches. It was a 16-match card. And the event was 3.5 to almost 4 hours. That's a really long time for a Mania, especially in its infancy like that. I mean, this was only the 4th one. Now, of course, we're up to what, Mania 33 was nearly 7 hours? Nearly 7 hours. That's just too damn long. They're going to make this Mania probably about 8 hours. We're all going to be exhausted by the end of this. And I am recording this March 23rd, so whenever this goes up, and it's going to go up before Mania 34, but the reason I'm recording this now is it may not go up on the exact date of Mania, Mania, when Mania 4 happened 30 years ago. But I wanted to record this because Randy Savage, one of my favorite superstars of all time, legendary mic skills, great performance in the ring, always gave a top-tier performance, even at his advanced age. His Impact run less so, but at that point he was not nearly the performer that he was. But even in WCW, maybe his stuff in 1999 less so, but he didn't really wrestle a ton at that point. He was being used on a part-time basis. He was being used mostly for appearances. He, into his 40s, was still giving great performances. This win here was complete validation. It was right on the heels of what was supposed to be Ted DiBiase's crowning moment. He was actually supposed to be a heel to close the show as champion. Vince McMahon decided to go against that and have Randy Savage win. Now, I would have actually been fine with Ted DiBiase winning, don't get me wrong. Ted DiBiase being WWE champion actually should have happened because the guy was a great heel, great promo. He was very good in the ring. And they could have at least done it till SummerSlam, and he could have been a pretty good performing heel. Of course, they had to make the $1 million title belt just so he wouldn't leave, because Ted DiBiase at that point could have left. He could have left and gone to like Jim Crockett Promotions and been part of WCW. Now, maybe he wouldn't have been necessarily, seen in a grand light like he was in WWE. But anyway, enough of that. Ted DiBiase was supposed to win this, but Randy Savage ended up winning this. Ted DiBiase had wrestled 2 matches before the finals. Randy had wrestled 3. They tried to make it like, oh, Randy's super, super tired. He got taken out by the Kane, by Slick's Kane, by One Man Gang in the semifinals. And always got to be beat up and this kind of stuff. And then, of course, again, after the 2 Hebner angle where Andre helped, they helped screw Hogan out of the title. And Andre gave the title to Ted DiBiase. They held up his vacant, did this tournament. They had Andre and Hogan battle to a draw, and the idea was Andre was there to just take Hogan out of the tournament. And since Andre was also taken out of the tournament, Ted DiBiase got that bye into the finals. So he wrestled 2 matches against Jim Duggan and Don Morocco, while Randy Savage faced Butch Reed. I believe one of Butch Reed's last matches in WWE, and then he went to NWA to be part of Doom. He might have had a couple stops, like maybe he was stopping Dallas or stuff like that, but I try to know enough about careers. I'd lose a little track of some of them. But he faced Butch Reed, he faced Greg Valentine, he faced One Man Gang. And you had Miss Elizabeth there. Miss Elizabeth looking lovely as always. Pretty much my first female crush in wrestling. I think her and Sherry, actually, which was weird. Because Sherry was supposed to be scary, but yet, I don't know, that's my thing. But that's, the young fan in me talking. Let's go back to this. It's a picture-perfect story looking back on it. It would have been great to have Ted DiBiase win, as I said, but you had Randy win. The problem is how he won. And it's not knocking Randy, but it's how they booked it. Okay, Andre's there at ringside with Ted DiBiase, obviously. Keeps distracting Randy. Even one point pulls his foot. Ref doesn't see it. Randy's pointing at Andre the Giant. Andre keeps, blocking Savage from being able to attack Ted DiBiase. Savage speaks to Elizabeth. She goes backstage, gets Hogan. Hogan's at ringside. Hogan attacks the Giant, knocks him into the ring post. Ted DiBiase's got the $1 Million Dream on. I can't, simulate that, being one person, but he's got the $1 Million Dream on, the Cobra Clutch. for those that don't know what the $1 Million Dream is, which is unfortunate if you don't. And while the referee's distracted, Hogan comes in with a chair, whap, chair apparently taking the form of a weird bat here, hits in the back of Ted DiBiase, Randy Savage, sky elbow, 1, 2, 3. Okay, Randy Savage wins. I mean, Hogan had to interject himself in it to win. Oh, I'm helping my buddy Randy Savage, and Randy's celebrating with the title and celebrating Miss Elizabeth is there, and there's Hogan hogging the spotlight once again, and that's one thing I've ranted about in a Times in Wrestling to Piss Me Off show about how Randy was always in Hulk Hogan's shadow, which was unfortunate because to me, and this is just going off on a little bit of a tangent, but looking where Randy won the title there, and the fact that he held it for just over a year. I think it was about a year and a week. It was a year and a few days, I know that much. He could have been the guy to lead the company into the new age. You didn't, after Hogan had been champion for 4 years, you didn't need a guy to be the champion for 4 years. Randy Savage, one, shouldn't have lost it at Mania 5 the next year. He should have held it till SummerSlam, found a way to get out of there, maybe with a DQ or something like that, even though you wanted to finish at Mania. And hold it till SummerSlam, where Hogan could have beat him there. Because Hogan could have had an 8-month title reign, 7.5-month title reign, and then dropped it to Ultimate Warrior. Because Hogan didn't need another year-long title reign. You needed to give it to Randy because even despite him doing his best to play a heel for a number of years from his debut in WWE, once he got Miss Elizabeth, and once people saw just the great work ethic and the great ring work, and the fact that he was such a great Intercontinental Champion, or even how he beat Tito Santana using some brass knucks behind the referee's back, and referee being unable to see it, obviously, and getting the victory. Randy Savage defended that title greatly. He defended it with honor. Sometimes he would, cheat to win, but he would always be a great heel champion. The problem is, even with that feud with Ricky Steamboat, people were starting to cheer Randy Savage in this way. They were starting to realize, hey, even though he's a great heel, we really appreciate his in-ring performance. Him and Ricky Steamboat in '87 WrestleMania 3 cutting one of the best matches of WrestleMania history. To me, only Undertaker and Shawn Michaels eclipses it, and that's for Mania 25. But from there, Randy was seen as a babyface, and they grew that feud with the Honky Tonk Man, and Randy had gotten his build, and him winning the title, he should have been champion longer. Just because, looking at how he carried himself, the great charities that he worked with, the stuff he did for kids, the stuff he did for the fans. I know people in particular, specific ones, Karen, Muggsy Sam, you told me that you met him. I don't remember how many times you met him. I apologize, I forgot that, but you told me you met him, and you told me he was very, very nice. I've heard from other people that actually met Randy Savage that he was extremely nice and extremely generous to the fans and always gave the best time that he could. Most time that he could, because Randy Savage appreciated the fans and understood what it was like and the positive impact that he had on people's lives. Was Randy Savage a perfect person? I'm not saying that one bit. Nobody's perfect. But Randy Savage is being a wrestler, perfect champion, perfect guy to build your company around. He is somebody that you really should have gone with for a couple years. You shouldn't have gone with Ultimate Warrior. But Randy wanted to step away from wrestling at Mania 7, hence why Ultimate Warrior beat him. I'm going off on a bit of a tangent there. Randy Savage didn't get to defend his title on a single pay-per-view. He won it on a pay-per-view and he lost it on a pay-per-view. Now, they only had 4 pay-per-views a year at the time. He was in a tag match with Hogan at SummerSlam 88. Was part of an elimination match at Survivor Series 88. Was in the Royal Rumble match in the 89 edition. And got eliminated by Hogan. That built the whole thing with the Mega Powers, and the Mega Powers exploded a little bit later, and then built to that match in Mania 5. Let's move on. The whole point is that Randy defended on house shows, and of course defended on some Saturday Night main events. But the thing is Savage should have been pushed even better as champion. But it was a different time and a different TV era. But the thing about Randy Savage is I don't understand why they didn't go with him sooner as champion. I just don't. Hogan didn't need it for 4 years. To me, you could have had Randy Savage versus the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 6 instead, and I think it would have been a grand match. Savage would have gotten more out of Warrior. Now, I, of course, concede that Hogan and Warrior did capture magic at Mania 6, and I get why they went with that match. I think Randy versus Warrior at Mania 6 would have been even better. Unfortunately, by the time of winning the title at Mania 4, losing the title at Mania 5, he was relegated to the mid-card, the mixed tag fiasco. And it's nothing against anybody involved, but a mixed tag fiasco that was all weird. Teaming with Sensational Sherry versus Dusty Rhodes and Sapphire. Which it wasn't a terrible match, but it was not, befitting of Randy Savage's great status. So it's unfortunate they didn't do more with his title reign. Now, yes, of course, different era. They didn't have Monday Night Raw. They didn't have as much TV. They had a lot of syndicated TV and a lot of tapings and stuff like that, and a lot of house shows that they would show sometimes, like on, in Coliseum Video and stuff like that. So I'm not knocking Randy. He did the best he could with the title. I think he did just fine, but I think if they had gone with Randy as the guy instead of trying to give it back, and instead giving it back to Hogan a year later, I think they could have done it. They should have done it. Hogan could have still been in the chase, but you're telling me that Hulk Hogan still wouldn't have been seen as the guy? Because he obviously was going to be, because Hogan was just going to take anybody's spot that he could, and he had to keep people under his thumb. Now again, some of you guys that are watching this are Hulk Hogan fans, and I'm not knocking you guys. I'm not saying that you can't be Hulk Hogan fans. You should be. And I'm not saying that I don't appreciate what Hulk Hogan did for wrestling, because there were some positives that he did. So, but like any top star, there's going to be critics. Myself included, I'm very critical of a lot of top guys. Looking back on it, I get why some of these moves were made at the time, but looking back on it, was it the right call? So Randy Savage should have been champion a whole lot longer, but he will always have that win at Mania 4, and the fact that he, not Hulk Hogan, was champion, and people loved Randy Savage as champion. By the time Hogan won it back at Mania 5, sorry, a lot less people liked it. There were people that felt that Savage should win. I feel Savage should win. So anyway, leave in the comments, do you think Randy Savage should have won? I think he should have, of course, as I said, but leave in the comments, how would you have booked Randy Savage as WWE champion, WWF champion? Would you have had him retain at Mania 5? Would you have never made him champion at all? Let me know. Like, share, subscribe also. My Twitter link is in the description. It's been Real Honesty with John Ritlin. I'm John Ritlin, and I will see you soon.